Hi, I'm Blythe Stevens, MFA, Bliss Catalyzing Coach and Dance Educator, and founder of A Blythe Coach, Dance Education and Coaching to move through life with balance, grace, and power. I'm super excited to introduce you to my guest today here on the podcast, Jolynne Anderson. Just one caveat today, I did notice as I was editing the video that unfortunately I did not have the right camera selected during this video, resulting in a pretty poor cheap webcam quality video on my part, although Jolynne is nice and clear and looks great on her end of the video. And I'm also, for that reason, not looking into the camera. So I'm sorry for that technical oversight. I'm still learning, and I hope you still find value and enjoy this podcast very much. Jolynne has some great insights to share. So let me first introduce Jolynne to you. Jolynne is power, play, compassion, joy, wisdom, and leader. She is a breakthrough coach who is a personal certified coach with the International Coach Federation since 2009. She is passionate about supporting people who want to make a difference in the world to reclaim their personal power to give them access to true fulfillment, joy, and adventure. To be unapologetically them. She works with people that want to ignite their own fire. She supports people to be passionate creators and leaders in their own lives and relationships, to actually live a life of their dreams instead of just dreaming about it, and to generate a living out of doing what they love. She is a leader coach and trainer at Accomplishment Coaching, which is accredited by the International Coaching Federation, and has a reputation for being one of the finest coaching training programs in the world. You can find them at www.accomplishmentcoaching.com. And I'll make sure to link that in our show notes as well. She is a certified in Conversational Intelligence, which is based in Neuro-Science, a method that supports individuals and organizations by teaching and coaching on how to have difficult conversations, create trust, and evoke innovation with amazing relationships and exponential growth. She has coached and trained many clients and organizations, including the United Nations, World Population Fund, Microsoft, Nike, Canadian government, Cayman Island government, state government, professional golfers, stay-at-home moms, and more. She works with all different people in different places in their life. What they all have in common is that they're ready to say hell yes to what it is that is next in their life, even if they don't think it is possible. Please welcome Jolynne Anderson to the A Life Coach podcast. I would love like a brief summary of the work that you do and who you work with, especially as it changes and evolves over time.
Yeah. So I am a coach and I work with creatives that are kind of stuck and they're not sure what's next, and really get them, to a space of centeredness and through their soul and life purpose, and really creating from that place so they can have a joyful, fulfilling life. And I love working with creatives because they, sometimes it becomes a burden for them, and it's like, okay, time to shake it off and really get back to true center and have them, create a lifestyle that really supports them.
Yes, this is why we get along so well. Creative living, that's what I'm all about. But it has different sides to it for sure. You can still, even if you're a creative person, you can still get stuck in a rut, I think, and a context and lose your perspective on why it is you're trying to do what you're doing. And
yes, it's like, what the heck did I start this for?
Yeah, why did I think this was a good idea? Yeah, and something that really struck me in the conversation that we had before, just sort of catching up, was especially in the times that we're having right now with pandemic and whatnot, how you mentioned working with clients and having such different experiences of what they were doing and also the decisions they were making based on the current circumstances. I thought, that's such an interesting example of how you take something that's affecting everyone in the world And yeah, some people are encountering that as something that's really limiting to their possibilities. And I think it's been a challenge for everyone, but they're really stopped by that. And then other people are using it like as a springboard into what's next for them. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about that now that we're on camera.
Okay. Yes. So you're referring to like my example of, I had two real estate agents that I was coaching with, and here comes this pandemic and craziness, and one of the clients, they where they were at in their mindset and taking on stories and beliefs that were happening, and reality, right, like true things that were happening. And one of them was like, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and complete and not do my business and just shut down. The other one, it ended up, and that's fine. Like if somebody needs to do that, totally can honor their process. And then the other one ended up pivoting and doing some work on, okay, if we're going to reinvent your business from this new atmosphere, this new space, this new, circumstances, it's like, how do we pivot and really make this all work? And it had a lot to do with the willingness, of course, the mindset, and then doing the work on what their highest commitment was and what they really wanted to do. And this particular client goes, you know what? I would like not only to be number one in my office, but I want to be a success story for my children. I want to show them that life's going to happen, and how you act and how you get yourself supported and how you choose things. You do have to kind of have that buoyancy of life and pivot. And so that's what they did. They, her and her team really worked on, how do we show houses? This was I don't know if I mentioned a real estate agent, but how do we show houses and how do we do these things? And brainstorming with me on how to educate and change and do things online, and really having that, let's make this happen.
People still need to live in houses, so how can we help them do that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. People were still, there were some people still working. They were still getting transferred to different jobs. It was still working. Yeah. And I'm happy to say they did become number one in their office in sales. Yeah. But it wasn't about, the funny part was that it wasn't about the money. It was about that they were able to take a challenging time and really reinvent and do their business the way they never thought they would.
Yeah. And that's something we talked about too, is it has been an opportunity for so many people. By opportunity, I mean we've had to. If
right.
It wasn't already online, or your teaching wasn't online, and for dancers, if you weren't dancing online, then if you want to continue to do that thing, then that was the only place that it could really be happening. And so we learned a lot of new skills.
Oh my gosh, didn't we? It's like, I have a gal that was doing fitness, and maybe I told you that story too. And she, was doing the classes in studio, and just like you, there was like a pivot, right? It was like, oh, this is not going to work. I got to learn how to be online and figure out this Zoom thing. And, she didn't have to, but she was passionate about it.
But if you don't, then your students won't be receiving what you have to give either. It's
right.
And that's what really was sad to me, is I certainly did know, coming from a dance perspective, I certainly did know studios that just shut down.
Yes.
Because they didn't see how it was possible, or didn't know how to use the tools that would allow them to try to keep going online. And then I saw other studios just just struggle on through, even folks who are not technically savvy and not real keen to reinvent their way of doing things after being well established for a lot of years, but just because they don't want to let their students and families down. They rose to the
Right.
occasion, and it's
Yes.
not the same as being together in the space, but it's certainly, in a lot of cases, better than not having that opportunity at all.
Well, and having that joy, being able to do classes once a week and bring, especially
Yeah.
when we were in lockdown, it was like, oh, I get to come to my class.
Yes, exactly. Have the music and the familiar faces and some bit of the routine that we're used to, and yeah, just being able
Mm,
to move around joyfully was really huge for people. And I know, especially for the young students, it was also a huge gift to the families for
yes,
their student to have that to do for 45 minutes or an hour, because otherwise they were stuck together
yes,
24/7.
yes. Oh my gosh. One of my clients, they, were stuck with their family in a fairly small home, and she ended up converting her closet into like a meditation space. It was actually ended up being beautiful.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
she's like, we joke, she's like, okay, well, I'm going into the closet. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm going to come back out of the closet in a little while. Actually, I was wondering if I think you have a bit of a dance background as well. Because I'm working in the dance field and a lot, although I also would like to speak more on the level to creative people and artists in all kinds of fields. I know that I mostly work with dancers, so I would love if you would just mention your connection to dance as well.
Oh my gosh. So I grew up dance, as a young girl, belonged to the local studio, and grew up dancing and competing for my and I did that for a while. I mean, I started with ballet and did the and ballet was like the foundation for me, but
Mhm.
I could hear the other classes that had like this music and
Mm.
jazz music and tap, and there was something about the upbeat music for me that completely feeds my soul. Like, music comes on and my body just moves.
Yes.
And I did solos and duos and groups, and did all that amazing stuff, and then kind of grew up older, and did some teaching as I got older. And then I did what I thought I should do, and did the marriage thing and the kids and the state job, and
Hmm.
really became doing what I should be doing, the right thing. And
Yeah.
then, that's kind of a story there. And then I've returned back to dance, but it's not anything where I'm competitive. I dance every day. I have my clients move and dance. It's not a formal thing.
Yes.
I used to, really want to get it perfect and right, and, like do the moves exactly as my teacher's doing or how I'm teaching. And
Hmm.
I'm kind of a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so now I do free dancing.
Yes. Get free with it. Improvisation and
Yes.
just for the joy
Yeah.
of
I'll
movement.
have, even with my clients, if they're being significant and serious, like physically moving your body, it
Hmm.
makes a huge difference for the energy. Yeah. And
Oh.
to me, dance, whether it's metaphorically, in your brain or physically, it's so important to dance with life. Like we were talking about a few minutes ago, the pandemic, and, we're kind of still in this stuff. But
Hmm.
how are you going to, really flow and dance and be with this, and especially when you're a recovering perfectionist?
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah. What if there is no getting it right?
Right? Yes. Really?
Oh.
That is such a beautiful statement, Blythe. You
Yeah,
know,
that's cool. I
that
didn't
is
realize you were actually back to dancing on such a regular basis. That's wonderful. It
yeah, it's
fills me
part
with
of my
joy.
routine of the
Yeah,
day. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. And as adults, we get to do that. We get to say what is a part of what's important to us and what lights us up. And in particular in coaching work, obviously you need to be doing that work if you're going to be doing that work with your clients. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. My coach makes sure that I'm dancing, because if for some reason I show up on my call, she knows if I haven't been
If
dancing.
it's missing, yeah, you could tell. I wanted to dig in a little bit more because you actually use movement and dancing as a tool in coaching, which I think is so great because that's often what's missing from coaching and professional coaching and also therapeutic sort of settings. It's often very talky and not embodied. But I'm curious, what sorts of tools do you use or have you been using to help people through the challenges that they're facing now?
Oh, so I it's so funny. One of the things I learned in my transition, from state job back in 2008 and into coaching, is it's each person is different. There isn't like a cookie cutter thing, that I work with people,
Hmm.
and each person's music is different, what actually moves them. So I do upfront work with people before I work with them, and find out, what is it, what's their desires, what's their music style, what's their needs, wants, that kind of thing. So what I incorporate is kind of what's intuitive. I'm like I don't know what the word is, but things just come through me, with
Hmm.
different clients, like things that come out of my mouth and conversations that come out of my mouth that I'm like, I don't know where that came from. But
Yeah.
we do a lot of um, internal work first, and then we co-create what it is that they want to take on,
Hmm.
whether it's dance or music or journaling or whatever that is. It's every person is so unique and different, and tapping into their true like desires and wants. um so I don't know if that answered your question, but it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of foundational work that has to happen so you get to know that person and in my experience too in coaching is that also that they're getting to know themselves too. I've heard so often people
yes,
say, but I don't know what I want or
yes,
I don't know what I should do. And you can't just say, yeah, you do, but you're thinking
yeah.
you're gonna
Well,
find out that you do.
yeah, it's funny because, I've coached so many different types of people. They come to coaching for one thing, but we always end up getting into the soulful stuff. The things that my biggest thing is, what's going to give you your life force? What's going to give you that energy and that mindset, to be able to, be in life, and 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 like embracing even things like pain. People, when pain happens, or circumstances happens, or events happen, a lot of people automatically go to these bad habits. And so, the work, that I do with people, it's like, how do you, it's okay to feel the pain, be with it, and what do you need to do to be centered in these events and these things that
Yes.
are going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Helping them anticipate and also face the challenges that are going to come. Yeah.
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 I think of it sometimes as like, like a toolkit of resources and like shoring up all the resources. And they look different for different people, what sorts of things they lean on. But I also
Yeah.
notice that it seems universal that even if even if we have those and we know those and we built it up, we forget.
Yes.
Something will come
Mhm.
up and it'll just fly right out the window. And so it seems like sometimes the role of a coach is just to help remember. Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
when this happens with
Yeah.
me, I could feel better, or yeah, get back to myself by doing these things. But
Right.
they don't appear to us sometimes in those moments when we really need them.
Yeah, it's so true because and everyone is different. I mean, we're the same because we're humans, but there's so
Yeah.
many things that are different. Like some of my clients just want to get up and meditate and be, and enjoy. Like I go out every morning and put my feet on the grass. Like it's just like
Mm.
I want peace. I want, quiet most mornings.
Hmm.
And then other people are, I'm getting up, I'm running. I want to get that, energy that. So,
Boy, I can't relate to that at all, but yes, people do feel that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, tools or, whatever
Yes.
I do is what is your morning ritual? What is the thing that's
Yeah.
going to really nurture you and have you have a great day? And then also we do rituals at night. Like what is that nightly, ritual that that's going to set you up to win and, have the the next day set up.
Yes.
Um, yeah. I love it because it's, getting people's power back. It's like
Yeah.
when life happens and events happen, it's like, whoa, where did my power go? And it's like, what
Yeah.
happened here? I just gave that away, whether it was to whatever event or circumstance. And that's the other thing I'm passionate about is having people be in their true power, it's like, and making choices from that place. It's so, I just love it.
Yeah, let's talk about if someone has identified that they are feeling stuck or feel the need for more support in taking the next step for them, whatever that may be. How can they find a coach that's right for them, or how do you suggest they sort of take that step into actually working with a coach?
Yeah. So I always recommend, like interviewing 3 coaches
Mm-hmm.
because what I know is people will resonate with someone. You'll know when you're interviewing with someone, you'll be like, oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
um, and I do, and I don't know if this was mentioned, but so I also, about 10% of what I do is I train coaches and I'm with Accomplishment Coaching. And we have a website that you can go to that has people's bios and there's a lot of different types of coaches on there. So that would be the first place that I would have you look.
Yes,
Um,
great resource
Also
there.
yes, the International Coach Federation, which is the body that has the credentials and does the ethics standards and the core competencies, and that's where we get our credentials from. They also have a list of coaches.
Hmm.
And so I think, like I said at the beginning, it's really trusting your gut and trusting as you're, talking with different coaches, you know, who resonates most with you. And I definitely advocate for coaches that have been trained through, because a lot of people right now are calling themselves coaches,
Yes.
and you really want to make sure that they have been trained like you, Blythe, and,
Hmm.
like that they've
Yeah.
gone through a training that is true to coaching and not just somebody's like, oh, I think I'm going to get certified through this one person.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. As I've been seeing that a lot online through the various avenues that I'm connected with is and especially since people are having to bring their businesses online more and more,
Mhm.
they're saying, hey, if you've got expertise in a certain area, you can should consider offering coaching services, which sounds great. Oh, I'm an expert in this area. I can coach people in that, which I'm not against that, but I kind of go, yeah, but what coaching skills do you have? I mean, if you're an expert in an area, you can advise people, you can give them, advice from your experience and whatnot, but it doesn't necessarily equip you to sort of see and support someone in their own sort of journey of exploration. It can help you gain insight into that one field. I'm like, I hesitate to call that like a really well qualified coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point, because coaching is really about finding the wisdom within and tapping into each person's true kind of potential. And with like consulting is kind of what you described, advising
Right.
people, that kind of thing. And what I find is if you want transformation, it's gonna have to be coming within you. It's like a lot of people want to, oh, just tell me what to do. And you can go do those things. But if it's not your own creation and your own exploration and really expanding your thinking and possibility, and it's not you're driven from it, I find that you're just going for the next thing. You're just going for the next person to give advice, or the next person to, be like, it's like external people have all the answers.
Right. And I'll try that and maybe see if it works.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I'm like, go for it. Try do, learn, grow, try it all.
Yeah.
And if you're ready for like some, exponential shifts and growth, really, I think everyone should have a coach.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without my own coach. And I just think people take and recenter and take risks like they never thought they would. I don't think I'd ever leave my state job, because that's, quote, again, I always talk about what I should be doing, the expectations of others, if I didn't have a coach. Like, there's no way I would have my lifestyle today. So big advocate for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, what led you to hire a coach that first time?
Man. Well, there was a lot of things happening back then. Speaking about stuck, I, in that moment of time, there was a lot going on there. I was in a state job, which was awesome. I don't want to, it fed what I needed, but I always knew something was more. Like, there was something tapping me that I should be doing something more. And what I ended up doing is getting super sick. And yeah, literally the doctors had no idea. My energy, my body ached, they were trying to diagnose fibromyalgia and all these things. And nothing could figure it out. And so my girlfriend said, you should hire a coach and just see if there's some exploring to do with your, where you're at, your body, and that kind of thing. So I hired a coach and really got present to, I was out of alignment. I was out of alignment with who I am and what my purpose here on the planet, and what, God or spirit or, whatever people believe in. To me, it was like, oh, I was living a life that wasn't the life that I needed to be living. And that clarity and that understanding, and then, the steps to move from that, I just was like, oh, I am grateful, like deeply grateful for hiring a coach and investing in myself. Like, the breakthrough to even have a coach and to invest in myself in that time frame was like incredible.
Right. Yeah, because the doctors may be covered by insurance, but when you're hiring a coach, it's really an investment that you're taking on.
Yeah. And I, at that point, decided I got to figure this out, and I'm going to look everywhere.
Yeah. For sure. That's so interesting because actually several of my early clients were fibromyalgia patients.
Mhm.
And the tricky thing with that diagnosis is they don't really know anything about it. It's an umbrella term that covers a huge range of symptoms and experiences and has no real treatment plan or sort of proven effective, different things work for different people, and it's very mysterious. And
Ah,
of course it's important that you be consulting your doctor in those situations, but also it really blew
oh,
my
definitely.
mind what a difference it made for them having a coach, even an inexperienced coach like myself when I was first starting out. um, what we were able to sort of the transformation, like you said, that they were able to create for themselves, and the different life experience that they had on the other end of that was really amazing, especially since it wasn't, treatment or medication or anything prescriptive at all. It was just, yeah, them
Yeah,
getting more in alignment with, yeah, what's really
right.
important to them. And yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting because at the time, I had a really good life. Like if anybody looked at it, they would be like, "Oh, this is really good."
Yeah, you're doing
But
great.
yeah, but it was interesting because I ended up creating a life that were like my parents' life. They kept telling me what these things, to do, and I married an amazing man. But at the time, I was like, "Ugh, this relationship is not serving me. It's Groundhog Day." And so as I hired a coach, I was like, oh, I think I want a divorce, and this isn't like
Mm,
good. I mean, it's
yeah,
good, but it's not like great.
right.
And I better add here, we are still married. We reinvented our marriage.
Yeah,
We're
but the divorce is
27.
not the answer in this case, but
No, 27 years
yeah.
together. But that reinvention, that pivoting that we were talking about at the beginning, this just lines in beautifully.
Hmm.
We needed to pivot. Like my husband and I had created the marriage that we witnessed as growing up.
Hmm.
We were codependent. We were like in this, space that I was like, oh no, I don't want this. And both of us were like, yeah, this is no fun.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So anyway, with my coach, really getting every part of my life in alignment, I was willing to go there. You only go in coaching where you want to go. And that reinvention was a huge part of my alignment along with my career. And so
Hmm.
I get to have a fun, sassy relationship and great career, and
Yeah.
which is, crazy. If you took a video of my life back then to now, it's like, whoa, what?
Yes. Yes.
I
That's a
remember
great.
at one point my husband saying, man, where did you go? This is amazing. Because I was just kind of doing what I thought I should.
Yeah, that's so incredible that you were able to. And I know it must have taken a significant amount of work on both of your part to reinvent that together, but that's so great that you were able to navigate that together and to transform together into, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was me, like, we have the power to create what we want if there's a willing person in this case.
Yes.
Um, if for the, for the most part, we can create it. And if they don't want to create that, then, we then gracefully let them go. Right. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, but really getting that high altitude of why we're here, what's the purpose, who do we be on the planet, and then is that the partner for me? And if it's not, I coach people on that too. It's like how to
Yep.
gracefully leave a relationship that leaves it empowered and amazing, and but
Yeah.
outside of codependent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you done relationship coaching with couples? Or that's right. That's tricky. I'm in awe
Yes,
of that process, but
yes,
also so
yes.
powerful, potentially nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's really great. Again, it's but after I, have an interview with each of them, it's
Right.
got to be two willing people that are, willing to do the work. And really relationships are tricky because we each bring our baggage and our experiences from
Mhm.
our lives. And then you have two people trying to like integrate them.
Yes.
You're going along and all of a sudden your partner's upset and you're like, what are you upset about?
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay. And that has a lot to do with the work, like getting clear about, okay, the event, what do you make those events mean? Where did that come from? And then kind of
Yes.
taking the time to work on, releasing. I talk about energy a lot, but there's like the past stuff to release, and then there's
Hmm.
future creations, and to be with our own triggers, and our partners to be with our triggers, right? How to hold the space and be compassionate
Yeah,
and
for sure.
honor us in our humanness.
Yeah. Yeah. We all
So
have
yes,
that.
I do. I definitely have done couples. There's been a time where I think I went to like 5 different weddings because people either wanted to find their soulmate and,
Right.
it was all relationships for
Mm-hmm.
themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or they wanted to reinvent their marriage and they redid their vows. And um,
Oh, that's
it
so
was,
great.
yeah, it is. It's like, very rewarding. And then also partnerships, like in business partnerships,
Yes.
they're it's whenever you're integrating with another human, it's always tricky.
It's an adventure. Yeah, for sure. But I like what you pointed out there. That was actually one of the distinctions that I've carried with me and also brought to coaching, but also to teaching work because I think it's so valuable too for people of all ages and in every situation to have, which is such a basic distinction, but it's something we run up against again and again if we don't really pull it out. Like, what are the facts of the situation? No, the actual measurable, observable facts
Yes.
versus the what we're making it mean and the interpretation and what that's bringing up for us from our past and all
Hmm.
of that. Yeah.
I love it. And a lot of it has to do with expectations that one, we don't even realize we have until we explore it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea. I even, the example the other night with my husband, I had an expectation we were going to do something, but I didn't communicate it. And he wanted to do something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mad. I was like, and then I had to really be like, okay, what am I so mad about? Oh, okay. Why did this trigger me? And let's observe this. And then let's actually see if what my meaning I made up about that
Mm-hmm.
is true. Like
Right.
I was like offended and like disrespected. And, that's what was in my
Yes.
brain, right? In my
Yes.
body. Like I could literally feel it in my body. And then it's like, well, what if that's not the meaning? I better be curious and find out what's happening.
Yes, yes, I'm
Uh,
feeling offended and hurt and yeah, oftentimes disrespected
yes, yes.
and the other person had absolutely none of those intentions. They're just going
No.
along doing their thing.
Yeah. Well, and you get, especially in partnership, you get where you should know. It's like, oh, wait,
Right,
hold
don't you
on.
know me?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I feel, not worthy or, whatever it is. It's really, I can observe myself and laugh at my own mind. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, look at these thoughts coming through. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not always in the moment. In the moment, the emotion can be so strong that, yeah, it
Yeah.
takes a little bit of time and reflection and cooling off too.
Yes. Yeah, it's like I think everyone should be a CEO of themselves, like really learn themselves and their triggers and their blocks and where they get stopped and, all of those things. Because now I can, for me personally, I can be like, whoa, I need a minute because otherwise all these words going to come out of my mouth. They're not going to be good.
Right. Yes.
It's like, hold on, need a timeout here. I just think the more we know about ourselves and how we operate, the more power we have. And we can create, when we're in our full power, we can create whatever we want, whatever lifestyle we want.
Yeah.
Yes. Even though at the time, if I think back then when I hired a coach, I didn't even think it was possible. I was like, this is not possible. Like literally, and I'm a pretty smart woman. So I was like, this is not possible. I can't leave this state job. I can't leave my husband at the time. That's where I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
like, I'm stuck. I had 2 little kids. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was interesting how limited we get when we're in our own stuff.
Yeah. What's inspiring you and freeing you, empowering you these days?
Ooh, I am, kind of changing up my business where I'm
Mhm.
doing more like half day Zoom calls together. And then, or those that want to fly, to my area right now,
Right.
not a lot of people are flying, but more like in-person, in-depth work and doing that. And that includes the body, the, you know, elements of life, the elements like there's a lot of experiential like
Mhm.
feeling kind of things that I love doing, and a lot in the spiritual realm, which sounds kind of woo woo, but it's like how to tap into the intuition and the knowledge and the wisdom of God, universe, and really do some soul work and get people reset. It's like,
Mhm.
oh yes. So I've been doing that, loving it. And most of those people are coming from like my clients, like my VIP clients that want to take that on. So
Mhm.
right now I'm also creating a space on this property, which will probably be done here in about 6 months.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
very, very excited about.
Early next year.
Um, yeah, yeah. Well, and to me, I have I don't know why I know this, but this next year, I think things are going to be fully opened up, even though it doesn't, it's hard to know, right?
Mhm.
But there is going to be some huge shifts. I can feel it energetically. And I can see that there's going to be kind of a whole new mindset and world that's going to be absolutely beautiful and amazing. And it's also going to be a little off center. Like people
Mhm.
love comfort zones. People love to know what they know. And, but it's going to tap into creativity. And that's kind of the work I do. So it's like tapping into that creativity and doing the reinvention work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Yeah,
I
I
know.
feel this next year being a really creative and um, full of potential year as well. I love that you mentioned several times the intuitive piece, and I think people speak about that in different ways. I don't think we
Yeah.
necessarily disagree about the underlying concept, but sometimes the wording sounds differently. But that's definitely work that I've been doing lately too, is really just the intuition is there, but just trusting it when it arises and listening to the quieter voice that might be
Mm.
speaking is it's a really a process, and something that I appreciate about aging
Yes.
is that
Yes.
we're able to step more and more into that. And it starts with really simple things. It's really funny. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about even the most simple things like leaving the house, and a voice will come up in my head of, I wonder if I should bring an umbrella or a jacket or whatever the case may be. And my old pattern that I've identified is asking, because it occurs as a question, would be to ask whoever is there, do you think I should bring an umbrella? Do you think we need a whatever? And depending on who's there, they might say, nah, right? We don't need
Yes.
that. It's going to be fine. And what I've found time after time after time is, yes, you do want to take an umbrella if the voice comes up, or a jacket or sunglasses, or it's really
Whatever.
concrete, but it's really funny. I'm like finally listening, like it's not a question. It's a it's a statement, like
Oh,
you
life,
need
that's
to bring.
beautiful. Yes. Well, I love that because listening is a skill that we've lost in general, right? It's like how to retrain people to listen and listen to their own internal voice, their own, wisdom, and also listen for others. Everyone's so busy, you know, so busy, period, right? and or they're thinking they like you use your example, external validation, right? They need somebody else to say, yes, you should bring an umbrella, as we're using this little example.
Yeah.
But it's tuning in and listening, really listening. If anybody that's listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
I invite you to just listen. Like in the morning when I go outside and put my feet in the grass and listen and hear the orchestra around me, like it is moving. It's unbelievable. And then you listen to yourself, like, hey, I should bring an umbrella today.
I know it's such a funny example, but of course it's very profound too, because it applies to all areas, and there are certainly more profound things and more subtle things that of course I'm also was in the habit, and I'm trying to reinvent that now of it's a question mark and it needs that external validation, and realizing no, this is a form of knowing, and
Yeah.
and we should trust the information and our awareness and our senses. Yeah,
Yes.
and to your point about like listening to others too, I don't think it's either or. It's not like, oh, I could listen to my intuition and my senses and my sources of information or others. It could definitely be of both. And like, don't you think that learning to listen to yourself actually might make you a better listener to the people around you too?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because the it's all energetic, right? It's
Hmm.
like I talk about energy and life force. Depending on who I'm working with, I say different words, but
Yes.
it's like it is all about that energy, that listening, also listening to others. Yeah. It reminds me, I did a training with an organization about listening, and
Hmm.
also did experiments with them and little quests with them about listening.
Uh-huh.
And boy, is that an eye-opening for people. They think they score themselves pretty high on, when I have them first score, and then I do an exercise and they're kind of like, oh, I thought I was a good listener, but they're listening to provide something. So they're in their heads and they're not really listening. Oh, it's just, it's lovely to see, and have people practice that deep level listening. It's
Yes. Yes.
beautiful.
And that's something that I think a good coach is really great at, and something I definitely gained from training was being heard fully and
Yeah.
learning to
Yeah.
listen more carefully without um, yeah, without even necessarily need to fix or change or solve anything, but just to to be there fully with each other is so powerful. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
great.
that's a wonderful gift that you give to your clients. I really appreciate your time in having this conversation. Is there anything else that you think that you'd like to add, or that we have missed along the way, or you want to put a finer point on it? Make sure to emphasize.
Uh, I would say that I just am so grateful for you, Blythe, for the work that you're putting out there, the teaching you're doing, and you really want to make an impact on people. Um, it's quite an honor to be in this space with you and to see the work that you're doing. And I thank you. Your listeners, thank you. Thanks for all the love and the desire to really, give people value and just appreciate you a lot.
Thank you so much. You too. It's your work is such a gift, and just your presence here. So thanks for taking that time to be with me and share your knowledge and experiences. And I'll be sure to link up to the resources you mentioned in terms of finding a coach, but also to the work that you're doing now, your own website. So hopefully
So great.
some people hear this that really need to hear that
Yeah.
at this particular moment in their lives and find
Mhm.
you because of that too. Thanks once again for joining me. I hope you got great value out of that podcast interview. And if you would let me know in the comments below if you're watching this here on YouTube, or you could send me a message on social media. I'm at A Blythe Coach. I would appreciate that feedback. I'd love to hear what you got value from and what you still have questions about. I'd be looking forward to sharing more on these topics in the future. For a lot more free resources, you can also check me out at ablythecoach.com. That's ABLYTHECOACH.com. See you soon.